First of all, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Maria Carola. I'm here from Swapzone. You probably will also met with Guarda Wallet. I'm not sure anymore. My memory is
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
So today we were just gonna like have a little conversation about everything in the cryptocurrency space, about DigiByte, about everything that you find like interesting or necessary or relevant or like everything that you would like to say. And I know that you like talking about like cryptocurrency and about DigiByte, and you're kind of like a spokesperson. So I don't think we're gonna have any problems with like you being not outspoken enough, right? You were just
You
there
know,
like laughing.
apparently I've got a reputation. Who knew, right? Like,
That's a good reputation to have, though. It's
yeah,
like,
it's cool. And like that's the beauty of it is I love to be able to, like, don't get me wrong, obviously there's a little bit of the sound of your own voice sometimes, which is nice, but most of it is I love being able to educate people and seeing that look on people's faces, right? When they're just like, oh, yes, that makes sense. That is perfect. I understand. I get it. And that like that light bulb moment. That's what
yeah,
I
with
love.
this meme, like with the brain and like everything going
Yeah.
around it, like, oh. Yeah, this is a very important moment. Yeah, that's true. So it would be great if you just introduced yourself a little bit for everybody who would be watching this interview on YouTube afterwards, so they can know as well.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Josiah, also known as Chilling Silence. I run the DigiByte and Friends podcast. I like to educate people and teach people and help keep people informed both on news, what's been going on recently, as well as about fundamentals, why cryptocurrency is so important, why I'm in love with DigiByte, and why that matters into the future, and why you should take note of it.
That's so beautiful. This is amazing. So this is exactly what we need. You have an awesome like neon sign right behind you with DigiByte. This is
Yeah.
very cool. And so like how do you find, like first of all, how did you start in all of that? Why did you find it interesting yourself? Why did you start educating people on that?
Well, so my story starts like kind of a lot more selfish almost, in that I heard from a friend that my computer while I was sleeping could print me money, and I thought that sounded fantastic. I was like, I can go to sleep and wake up in the morning with money. This sounds brilliant. This was back in 2013, back with Bitcoin mining and things. So I mined Bitcoin for 3 or 4 days, I think it was. And at the time I had 0.1 Bitcoin. Now I did the math from that 3 or 4 days and it was worth about $2. And I was like, well, I'm spending more in power. I'm like, why would I keep doing this? This is a waste of time. But I was like, I'll have a look around and see if there is anything else like Bitcoin. And I found Litecoin at the time, and I thought they've got a higher maximum supply. They're faster. I was like, this makes sense to me. Like I'm clever. This makes sense. And so I got into that and I started mining it a little bit, but I kept on researching and looking into things on Bitcoin Talk, which was where everybody hung out back in the day. You were either there or you were not part of it, basically. And I hung out there and I started reading and I found DigiByte, which had only just done their first network upgrade with DigiShield, which they were then in the process of helping Dogecoin to implement. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, okay, a bigger maximum supply, faster block timings. I'm like, cool, I'm onto something here. And yeah, I got into DigiByte. So it's really quite funny because I left that 0.1 Bitcoin on that mining pool, and I came back to it about 3 years later when it was worth like $150 or something. And I was like, yes, jackpot. And I sold it. So
So that's
yeah,
the sad part of the story. Yeah, like this is like a little bit like condolences.
it's not all roses and dandelions and rainbows. So
we've all been there, and this is fine. Yeah, like this is how you learn, kids.
Yep. Exactly. But it's a good learning experience. And that's the funny thing is I didn't quite understand a lot of the gravity of the fact that a fixed supply asset and what that means for the value of it over time. So I don't actually own any Bitcoin now. I only have DigiByte, but you know, it was an interesting lesson to learn at the time.
So the thing that led you in the cryptocurrency space is like 100% materialistic. You're like
Yep.
money, that's it.
Yep.
Because like there are people who are like, oh yeah, this is like valuable, like decentralized finance, like very interesting, like super libertarian. You're like money, and you're direct about it. This is like
It's my side
appreciate
hustle. The
it.
idea was it was going to help me pay for my, like, I didn't stop to think, well, you've got a graphics card. Like, if you could pay for your mortgage off of one graphics card, wouldn't everybody, like, it didn't occur to me. But,
True that.
yeah. So,
So right
yeah,
right
it's
now, like
very much changed, though. It has. Like, so over the years, I ended up, I took a break about 6 months after that, and I stopped all involvement for about 4 years as I went through like a divorce and things. Got more involved again recently in 2017. Actually, that's only 3 years, but you know, and so yeah, it was. Then it was for different reasons the second time around, and I feel like a lot of people have a similar kind of story. They hear, first of all, I can make money off of this. Sign me up, like, yeah, I can help pay for the rent. Cool, sweet, this is awesome. And then they start to really understand the importance of being decentralized, permissionless, what that means, permissionless blockchain. Like, that's, yeah.
so right now, like your values kind of like probably shapes around the different field of decentralization and like cryptocurrency a little bit more. And what do
Yep.
you find like relevant and necessary now? And what do you like talk about to your like follower base and everybody who is new to the space? Like, what do you think that's the thing that could draw people in right now, and what's the most important?
Well, that's a real tough one, and it's a little bit almost hypocritical of me because I never discuss the price in terms of like where I think it could go in the future. I most of the time, like if I'm doing things like this, people will contact me and they'll say, hey, let's do an interview. I'll say, cool. Nothing is off limits except for price predictions. Not going to do a price prediction. Anything else, ask me about the history. Sweet, no worries. Don't mind, but I'm not doing a prediction. I talk more specifically about what's going on and why it is important and the value of doing certain things. So when DigiByte does AutoCrypt, when DigiByte's done Dandelion, why should people care? You hear of Dandelion, you think of a flower. Cool. What is it? If you're somebody, and I often will kind of refer back to my mother. She's technical enough, but not technical and not really involved in cryptocurrency in any way, shape, or form. And if I said to her, I'm going to send you a transaction, but it's going to take a couple of minutes because I'm sending it through Dandelion, she's just going to look at me like, oh, I don't know what you're on about. So that kind of education. And yes, I'm aware that most people come for the price action. That's what gets people excited, is they go, cool, they'll hear stuff on the news. You bought it for $1,000, you sold it for $5,000, you made money, congratulations, yay. But it's once people start to stick around and they've gone through that kind of that first experience, that's when I would like to hope that a lot of the teaching and the education and the fundamentals and the genuine reasons why the technology works is why people will stick around and hopefully listen to me.
Well, that's good goals, though. It's like you definitely have charisma enough to like make people listen to you. So this is already like a very good part. But why did you stick with DigiByte? So at first you were with Bitcoin mining, then you kind of got interested in Litecoin, DigiByte, and then came back, as far as I understand, and just like started kind of like talking about it, started to be like more kind of community, like building all of this. Like, why DigiByte?
Exactly. Well, that's a really good question. I got involved a little bit more with DigiByte because it was, to be honest, the first reason was because it was just the last thing that I was involved with mining. And I came back to it and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, cool, I've got like a couple $100 worth of DigiByte still. They were still on my phone from 3 years prior. So I was like, all right, well, why don't I get involved with mining again? Now DigiByte is no longer just Scrypt mining like Litecoin, but now it's got 5 different mining algorithms. Cool. That sounds interesting. No idea what that means. Time to find out. Time to do some research. Time to dig into why they did that upgrade 2 years ago, how I can actually start mining from my computer. Can I even mine from my computer? I didn't know. And one of the things that I found was that the guides were just terrible, if there was any at all. So it was a whole lot of piecing things together, and that kind of, that I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the the challenge and the problem solving and making it work, and then overheating my graphics card and crashing my computer countless times and things. And so seeing that need, seeing that niche, seeing that people needed that information. This was all right before the City Tech for Integrity Challenge, and around the time that there was a whole lot of talk about Minecraft integration and a bunch of other stuff. And there was misinformation going around. So I thought, you know what? I'll stick around. I'll do what I can to help. Let's write some guides. Let's teach people. Let's tell people what I know. It doesn't matter that if I'm mining and I get another person to start mining as well, that my rewards are going to go down. That doesn't matter. What matters is more building this decentralization, allowing people to contribute and allowing people to be part of that. So I kind of shot myself in the foot again by showing so many people how to mine DigiByte, but whatever, it's, yeah.
Kind of no regrets
fun
at that point. Yeah.
No, exactly.
Actually, like, when you joined DigiByte, was the community as active as it is now? Because like DigiByte is super famous for like welcoming and like openness and everybody kind of jumping on board and like discussing things and blah 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 and all of that. Was it like this back then, or not really?
Not really, and in fact, to be honest, it was pretty awful. It really was. Looking back over the last, so when was that? That was 3-something years ago. Yeah, it was nasty. You would, like, nobody knew. So if you showed up in the Telegram channels going, "Hi guys, I'm stuck," nobody really like knew how to help you. And so I spent a lot of time there helping people. Same for in the mining channels. So many people are going, "I can't figure out how to mine. Why won't this work? Why can't I get this? Like, it's crashing over here. Why is this happening?" And so maybe it was because I needed something to do in the evenings. I don't know, but some weird sense of just wanting to help people and teach people. And here we are today. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It has grown tremendously. And I'm so grateful to the community as a whole who have taken that on board and basically gone, you know what, this is cool. This is something that I can get behind. Not like me myself, but the broader community have basically said that. They've said this is important. This is why it's important, and we want to get behind it. So yeah, well done. You know, take a pat on the back, the DigiByte community. Good stuff.
Yeah, they are good. They are good. Like, from all the projects in cryptocurrency that I happen to work for, it's always like kind of a pleasure to connect to DigiByte community, because you start doing something, they're like, yeah, like, oh my God, you're a part of us now. Like, let's go board, let's like chat about it, let's spread the news, like do whatever. And it's great. And do you think that right now it's kind of a part of every community member's job to kind of contain that? Because there's no real organization behind like doing things.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah. Well, that's a really great question, and I think it's more than just their role, but I think it's almost a responsibility, because as a permissionless project, there is no, like you say, there's no head, there's nobody sitting there at the top going, all right, you're allowed to say that, but you can't say that over, like, there is nobody. If you want to go out there and you want to teach people and you want to pursue using DigiByte as a global currency, sweet, nobody can stop you. If you want to go out there and you want to make memes because you think that's a really great way to entertain people and to introduce them to DigiByte, that is so cool, and I love it, and I think that is awesome. And the best part is there is nobody who can stop you doing it. So it doesn't matter what people are doing. I just love the fact that people are getting involved and they are welcoming. And yeah, sure, sometimes that does mean that other people in the community are going to say stupid things, or sometimes they're going to say something that's not entirely factually correct. But I would like to think that overall what we try and not so much instill, but try and encourage within each other is basically this kindness, you know, and welcoming.
Kindness is great. Yeah, this is a great word to describe that, because like DigiByte people are somehow not vicious. This is a very important thing when you're building a decentralized community in general. Like there's very little meanness going on, and this is great.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, like I've been absolutely guilty of that myself from time to time. I am not flawless there in any way, shape, or form. I've definitely thrown a few rocks in my day. I'd like to think that a lot of them were warranted at the time, but you know, you live and learn. So I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'd like to think that a lot of other people out there are as well. So yeah.
Oh, this is great. And what do you think are the like worst, not the worst, but like the hardest challenges in like building a decentralized community like this? Is it like development? Is it like activity, kind of like marketing? You cannot exactly call it marketing, but like promoting the values and goals. Is it
Yeah.
something else? Like,
Can I say both? Yeah. Um, so, okay, so here's my best way of explaining what I do on a regular basis. Is I herd kittens is probably like, yeah. So kittens just want to go off and they want to go walking and they want to do their own thing, and a lot of the time I will try and like find the right person who is specifically suitable to help over here. Or somebody has shown up and they've just gone wandering and here they are, and now it's a case of, what do I do? I'm here. So I'd like to, it's a really terrible analogy, but it's hilarious and I love it. And it is difficult as a leaderless community to have that sense of direction and purpose at times. And yeah, you're right as well. Development is the other one. Without anybody saying this is a good idea and this is a bad idea, oftentimes I just end up playing devil's advocate and going, oh, let's see why this is not a good idea. Let's try and pick this apart. And you know what? If there aren't too many reasons why I can say this is a bad idea, well, you know what? Let's give it a whirl. Let's look at it. Let's dive into it and let's get other people excited about it. And then we can stand there hand on heart and go, I've tried to pick this apart. I've tried to find out why this isn't a good reason. Yeah, let's just do this. This idea seems great. Let's get people on board with it. And I think that speaks volumes to a lot of people.
so how do you actually like perform governance, and how do you decide on like some ideas that are going to be implemented? And like you already said that it's kind of like a testing way, sort of like if it's not a bad idea, like 100%, then let's like try to do it. But what if there are some like arguments in the community, for example, like some of the parts cannot decide upon like whether it's valid or not? This definitely happens. This is like a few people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. It really does. And well, so it was really interesting when we were doing the AutoCrypt upgrade. So we were replacing. So we've got 5 algorithms for people who aren't too familiar. We have the SHA-256 algorithm, same as Bitcoin. We have Scrypt, the same as Litecoin. We have Skeen. We had Myriad Grostal, and we have Qubit. We swapped out one of those 5, and we replaced it with AutoCrypt. And at the time, people are going, why do we want to get rid of this one over here? Why don't we get rid of this one over here that I'm not mining? And a lot of people were acting selfishly, which is cool because that is what the network is designed to have happen. You're supposed to be selfish. And so the people would say, well, why do we have to replace this one? Let's replace this one instead. And long story short, majority basically just won out over time. So on the blockchain, what happens is you would set a flag. And so as you upgrade and you basically say, yes, I want AutoCrypt and I want it to replace this algorithm, with every block mined, it would indicate, yep, I'm on board. Yep, I'm on board. And then this person would mine over here and go, no, I'm not on board. And the way that it works is that we require 70% over the course of a week, basically. 70% of people saying this is a good idea for a whole week. It doesn't work. The week starts over again and we see if we can get 70% again. Only got to 65%, cool, starts over again and we'll see how we go. And maybe over time people will be convinced to basically go no. Maybe over time we'll get over 70% of people will go yes. And that's basically how the governance kind of works. So we reached enough of a consensus. 70% of people said yes, let's do it. We're going to go this way. And we did. And that was a year ago, actually. So we're looking to replace another one now with GPU mining and CPU mining for home miners. So really excited for that and the way that it's going to further allow home contribution for DigiByte?
Oh yeah, this is great. Generally, I have been like I haven't been mining myself at like any point, but generally there is this trend to kind of onboard more people who probably did not like exactly have the opportunities to, and like you just want to do it at home and
So
like all this
why
stuff.
is that you haven't mined, just out of curiosity? Like, well, what sort of things stop you from mining?
Actually, nothing. It's just like I didn't know anything about blockchain before I started working in blockchain. So this is kind
Right.
of like, this was very confusing because at first everybody was like, I was still probably like in high school or in the academy, and everybody was like, yeah, Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. And like, we don't have a very educated country, pardon Lithuania. This is on me. Like people can beat me with rocks, but it's seriously like it hasn't been that of a trend, and everybody's like, yeah, this is like drug money, some sort of this kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, okay, like fine, like people doing something, like this will
Yep.
pass. And then like several years later, I find myself working in a like blockchain company in Guarda, and I'm like why didn't I like
How did
learn
this
that
happen?
before? Yeah, so that was kind of like, and so since then, like I didn't have any opportunity to mine before because it was just not my thingy. And afterwards, you're like 24 hours at work, and I don't even have time to like have breakfast. Not talking about mining. But probably I should try. Probably I should ask you for advice. Like if I can do it from home, if you're gonna make it possible to do it from home, and that's gonna be probably a good idea because also besides being busy, I'm also broke. So
Yeah, well, and I was the same. I was like, you know what? If I can get myself some DigiByte and I can use that, if I can mine it and it can pay for like a lunch once a week, you know, why not? And so that's what this next network upgrade is going to be focused on for DigiByte, is allowing home users to contribute to the security of the network, to mine a little bit of DigiByte here and there. Sure, you're not going to wake up overnight and have a brand spanking new house because of it, but you basically, you leave your computer on overnight, you wake up in the morning, there's a little bit of DigiByte. You do that the next day and the next day, and sure, it, you know, maybe it pays for a nice dinner out once a week, once a month. I don't know. Who knows?
that's
But
not
it's
too
a
bad, right?
yeah, why not? So, and I kind of feel like, especially if we can get it to the point where you basically, you download it and you just run it. There's no having to go through a big convoluted setup process. There's no having to enter a mining pool or all of these complicated overclocking details or just all of that kind of stuff, which, I mean, let's be fair, most people don't care about. Yeah, that's, if we can get it to the stage where you just run it and that's it. There's no having to ask questions, no tutorials, no guides, no nothing.
So
Just
like one
run
button, just like that's
a
it.
really, like a big, like, you know, you need like a big red button or something that just goes, yes, I'm on. Exactly.
No, this is perfect. This is perfect for like all the people who haven't been doing that before. Like things need to be like that because when you see that, of course, like when I started working in blockchain, it was like lots of new information. Besides that, Bitcoin is not drug money, which was like already like no,
Yeah.
really, and like it just flows on you, and you're like oh my god, like my head is really small for that, and you just need to kind of like process it and do everything. And like people who are new, who start using, like one thing, if you start working in that, you need to know that. But another thing, if you're like potential user, but you're like, it's like so complicated. No,
Which a lot of people are, and that's okay.
That's like people want to have shortcuts. People want to have like kind of easier ways without like having to read through like 30,000 manuals. So like a red button sounds like amazing.
Yep, a great big red button. You just, and away you go. But even better than that. So I don't think that we should just be limited to computers. And so a really interesting thing that we're also looking at is what happens if you do that on cell phones as well. Then what happens if, like, let's say, for example, we're talking about Venezuela, where people have a lot of cell phones, but there's not a lot of money going around due to hyperinflation and things like that. Not a lot of people have laptops or full desktop computers like you can kind of see behind me there. You know, like, what if we can do it so that you can mine on your cell phone? And sure, you might only get a little bit, but if you can wake up in the morning and basically you grab your phone, you're like, cool, I've got myself an extra DigiByte, yay. Over time, that's going to add up. And that is something that we can even further broaden the participation in. And that will both strengthen the network security-wise and get people interested, get people excited.
So do you think that mining is actually like a big part of sort of onboarding process, and it could be like useful potentially to kind of get the ideas and to probably continue doing something?
Yeah, so that's a brilliant question. And so for me, mining isn't just about securing the network and about this particular chain having more proof of work than this other one. Mining is also specifically, and this doesn't get talked about often with Bitcoin, but mining is also the process of getting that into the hands of as many people as possible. Otherwise, why don't we just pre-mine it all and then just hand it out one at a time? With proof of work mining, the idea is that you can contribute from home. You can be part of it. And I think there's a lot of merit to that, a lot of merit to the idea that we can have a broader participation, a broader distribution, a more fair and a more even distribution. I think,
that makes a lot of sense, because like I'm comparing, for example, the approaches of like trading, for example, that is popular, of course, as well. We're not going to make any price predictions. No, definitely not. But like people on board easily, they can just buy some coins and be like, okay, I'm going to put it here, I'm going to put it there. Like something goes down, something goes up, like all this. It's very traditional in understanding. It works like exactly how like stocks do, for example. You just monitor and you like
shares, buying stocks
here and there, like all of that. But mining has a totally different concept. So if you're on board with mining, you're going directly to the network. Like you're not doing any like money moves there, but you're just going, like being a part of the field right away, like not from financial kind
you're
of
invested in it. You are engaged, and like invested in it sounds like a really cheesy way of there's got to be a better way of explaining it. But yeah, you have like skin in the game. You've gone and you've mined in these ores. And the interesting thing is that these are potentially fresh DigiBytes, which don't have any history on the blockchain. They've never been traded before. But then from there, it's really cool because people will go, okay, let's say I've got myself $10 worth of DigiByte. Been mining for a little bit. I got $10 worth. I'm going to go and sell some, and I'm going to go and get myself a nice, lunch out with that, the proceeds. So then they get introduced because they're already engaged at that point. Then they're going to go and they're going to find out, okay, where can I go? How can I trade this? How can I get that into fiat? What are my options for spending it? And it's not like you're basically going to stop straight away as soon as you go, oh, am I supposed to sell this for Bitcoin or USDT? Like people, they're committed is probably a really good way of saying it. You've got your DigiByte, you're committed. So this is how we're going to wrangle you in. We're going to get you mining on your home computer, and then you're stuck. You're committed.
This is like you're there. You're just like you just joined like Jehovah's Witnesses, and you're stuck, and you're there forever. Like you'll be knocking door to door and like, hello, do you have a moment to talk about DigiByte? This is like this is going to be your future. This was a joke for everybody who would be like watching that. I have a terrible sense of humor. DigiByte is a great project.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. Oh.
Okay, like we have like enough laughs for this morning. This is perfect. This is great. Another question actually is, besides that, like home mining is super cool, and it's I'm sure that it's going to be like quite a way for new people to onboard to just like do something that they hasn't even been possible to do before. But what else is like a major milestone for all this like community development right now? What is like super exciting on the horizon of DigiByte?
Oh, okay. What else is happening? What else is on the horizon? it sounds, so there's two things that kind of come to mind. So digi assets, we're still doing a lot of work on that. The idea that you can make a token, you can make a fungible or a non-fungible asset. You could do movie tickets, you could do concert tickets, you could do like your bus pass. It's so many different things. You can do real estate on the blockchain and things. And all of this made possible with digi assets. So we're still working on ways that we can improve it, make it easier to use and easier to get started with, and easier for people to participate in, I suppose. So broadening that kind of an ecosystem. But also one of the other things that we're looking at the moment is Schnorr signatures. And that's going to bring a degree of privacy to DigiByte. It's also going to basically squish down the transactions so that if you've got like this much room to work with, you're going to kind of squish down the transactions so you can fit even more in. And it's going to optimize the blockchain even further. So Schnorr signatures is, I mean, it sounds boring as hell, and it kind of is in some ways. It's not sweet, it's not sexy, it's not the kind of thing people get excited for. But that's going to be a pretty big milestone for us, coupled with the GPU and home mining, which is coming out hopefully later on this year.
Oh, so this is going to be like pretty soon, actually. And so when it comes to DG assets, like this is a great way to connect kind of like DigiByte and cryptocurrency in general to like real world, like whatever we do. And you said like about some assets like tickets and stuff like this. Do you think that generally like trying to connect cryptocurrency space and like real world and just make them like work together at some kind of like a basic level, like not only financially, but like putting some assets on the blockchain and like managing them and stuff like this is an important thing for us all to consider to like promote adoption of like blockchain technologies generally?
Yes, but it is tough. It is so tough. You're basically you're fighting, like you're pushing a boulder up a hill basically with it in a lot of ways. It is difficult. There are some really cool things that are out there in terms of, like, there is a shrimp and crab farm in the Philippines, and they wanted to buy some more land. They wanted to expand their business and grow it. And what they said was, what we're going to do is issue a digi asset, and for the first couple of years, you'll get basically 50% of the cut of the amount that we get back from the growth that based on this new area that we've gone and purchased and things. And so they issue that as a digi asset. And if you hold that digi asset, every now and then, ding, 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 and comes a bunch of DigiByte into your wallet. Well, not ding, ding, ding. It's more of like a ka-ching, I think. But, you know, and this is a really like a fascinating and an absolutely amazing way to, I suppose, look at the future. And it is very, very pioneering. It's not suitable for every single application out there, but I think that in the future, especially as like kids these days who've grown up with Bitcoin, who've grown up with DigiByte, they're going to become more familiar with it. They're going to basically, it's like using a cell phone these days. You expect that you're online, rather than back in the day having to use dial-up and you use up your phone lines so you couldn't make phone calls. And I remember those days back in my...
Yeah, I remember too. Now I feel old. Like, thank you very much. Didn't have a phone at all for a while. It's like,
yeah, well, so I think one of the more important things, though, rather than just that, is going to be identity. And proving identity without a username and without a password. And so once we've got over those two aspects and we get people using cryptography, the same kind of public and private key cryptography we use with Bitcoin and we use with DigiByte, when they're using that kind of thing on a regular, like, so me personally, I use it dozens of times on a daily basis, every single day. It is so much faster to use than a username and password. It is brilliant and I love it. And I highly recommend it. It is absolutely the future, but it's just going to take some time and it will take a little bit of work. It's going to take effort and it's going to be slow at first, but it's going to slowly build up and start to snowball. And hopefully over time, we'll see a lot more people using that kind of identity based on blockchain.
Yeah, that's a great way actually to implement it. But besides this part, what do you think else that we should look at to kind of from the point of services, from the point of kind of like inner facilitation of things, what else is important for all of us to like consider probably the direction where to go for like cryptocurrency users who are already onboarded?
That's, yeah, I like that. That's a cool question. So if you're already on board with DigiByte, what sort of things should you be looking out for? I would look out for ways that you can practically use your DigiByte. And there's already a number of them. And sure, some people just want to hoard their DigiByte, and that's totally cool. Nothing wrong with that as well. We're a permissionless project. If you want to hoard them, if you want to spend them, if you want to go swimming and have an unfortunate boating accident and lose your private keys, you know, you can do whatever you want with your DigiByte. No one's going to stop you. What I would look out for if I was to give advice is I would look to things like probably decentralized finance is going to be a really interesting one. Ways that DigiByte is going to tie into a lot of other projects, things like through BlockNet, potentially through Ren, or I don't know, there's a bunch of different things and options and opportunities out there. And I would also say that something exciting for people to look out for is, I mean, we've touched on identity, but storage on the blockchain and assets on the blockchain. It's not going to take much, but basketball cards and baseball cards and things like that, like just like even trading cards in general are making a massive comeback. And have you read or seen any of the Harry Potter movies?
Yeah, I have. It was like a long time ago. I'm not a very like involved person, but some people dislike me for that. But I remember some things.
Okay, so in the books, in the movies, they have their cards, but the difference with these like photos and things is they're not just like a static like picture that doesn't move. They're animated,
Yeah,
and
like
they
the
come
ones
to
that
life.
are like
And
yeah.
yeah, and so they'll get up and they'll walk through into another photo frame, or they'll have a message or something along those lines. Imagine if you've got a trading card, but instead of just going, this was this person's stats for 2016, if it also had a personalized greeting from them, and they could say, hey, it's, you know, thank you so much for supporting us. This particular trading card that you've got is only given out in a limited quantity to people who've been to every single one of our home and our away games in the 2017 season. And so we just wanted to say thanks. Thank you for supporting our team. Thank you for coming along and being a fan. And we're so grateful for people. Like, imagine a card, like imagine a baseball card or a basketball card, or imagine something like that. How cool would that be? And you've got that on your phone. You can show that to your friends. So you don't have to just like leave it at home in your little trophy case. No one's ever going to see it or touch it or worry about getting stolen. You've got that card. You can keep it with you on your cell phone. You can take it with you. You can show it to your friends. You can trade it for other ones. Like that kind of, keep an eye out for that kind of thing, for that kind of a use case. Keep an eye out for assets on the blockchain and ways that you can get involved with that.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is kind of like non-fungible token sort of thing, but kind of like cooler. Yeah, because like I haven't really been thinking about that. It's a cool application, true. Like
people would collect things like X-Men cards. They'd collect stamps. They would collect certain shells, all of that kind of thing. But if that's done on a blockchain, you have perfect transparency. So it's not like there is one company that can go, oh, we're going to reissue. We'll do a second print run and devalue your particular card. You can see there was only ever 100 of these made, and you've got one of them. No one's ever going to make another one. You can't. The protocols don't allow it. That trading card will always be worth something because there's always going to be people that are interested in, like Michael Jordan, for example, or like you know, that kind of thing. So being on a blockchain solves a whole lot of things. It's not going to deteriorate with time and get foxing around the edges, or have moths eat it, or get stolen. You know, all that kind of thing. So assets on the blockchain.
Yeah, very cool idea. Thank you for sharing that. I need to research as well, definitely. And now I'm like never been a collector of like anything pretty much, but because like moving around doesn't allow you to collect anything. But actually, this is the way. Like this is the way for people like me. You don't have to store it like anywhere. Like you pretty much can have it in your wallet
Yeah,
and just
so
chill. And
exactly, keep it on your phone. My wife has a collection of the Funko pop vinyls, like the little kids
oh,
that
like
you
with the
can
big head.
get that are like they're yeah, exactly. She's got about like 60 of them or something, and they fill up a whole entire wall. And we moved house like at the end of last year, and exactly like you say, it was a pain to try and move things in a collection. It's just, but if those kind of assets were on her phone and she can still enjoy them and still view them, cool. That's so much better.
Yeah, like we should probably kind of become a bit less materialistic sometimes and like just like have a little bit free space because like valuable items are great, but also if you need to carry them somewhere to the other place and you're afraid of like breaking them and all this stuff and they like can be stolen and all of that stuff, so too it's like
Exactly. We were moving one from the car into the house, and the box wasn't sealed, and so as a friend was kind of like they're carrying the box, and actually it was a nephew of mine. He's like real young and carrying it, and he's got his box, and he's feeling great because he's helping out, and bloop, off one of them goes, and it falls out of the box and onto the driveway and into a small little bit of a puddle, and now like through something completely innocent, and it's what are you going to do? It's
yeah, wow,
poor
yeah,
little
that
dude was
happens too.
devastated, but
Like, well, that happens. That happens quite a bit. I was the kid who probably broke like half of the things belonging to my parents' friends and stuff like this. So that was like, ew. Like they don't invite us anywhere anymore. Okay, those are some great ideas. We're kind of running out of time for the interview, so I would like to ask you like the last question of this like cryptocurrency interview segment. I would like you to give like advice to new users what to look for, not only DigiByte, but just like generally cryptocurrency interested people who have not been doing anything yet. Like, what is the ultimate thing that they should do first, except doing your own research? Oh,
yeah. Not just doing your own research, because to be honest, anybody can fire up a white paper and have a look at it and go, that looks like a really good idea. I've spent 10 minutes and I've looked at this and this sounds great. I'm sold. That's a terrible idea. Don't ever do that. It is be critical. Presume that people are out there trying to sell you on something. It's really, really pessimistic. But if I were to come to you and if I were to say, I want to do YouTube, but I want to do it decentralized. I want to basically do peer-to-peer streaming of video and things like that, so that you don't have to rely on YouTube servers. And to most people, they'll hear that and go, "Oh, that's a really good idea. I like that. That sounds like a cool idea." But then what if I were to say to you, okay, that you struggle often with your internet connection. You're sitting there and you're on your laptop, and oftentimes even just going to YouTube, it's not going to be a pleasant experience because you've got bad Wi-Fi or somebody else turned on the microwave and now it's not happy. If you're thinking critically about it, you're going to go, okay, if I'm doing YouTube, but peer-to-peer, you to me, if you happen to have a bad connection, that's going to impact my connection. So maybe this isn't the best idea. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the way it is for a good reason. Why is that reason? Be critical of things. Be careful with your funds. If you don't buy something today and you buy it tomorrow after you've slept on it, that's totally cool and probably a really, really good idea. And most of all, keep your keys to yourself. It doesn't matter if you have somebody whom you trust. If you show up and it's somebody that you are asking for help from, like in the technical support channel, never give away your recovery phrase to anybody. Never. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea.
Great advice here. Yeah, like as a person who works and still works in a cryptocurrency wallet, I'm telling you guys, like, don't do that ever. Like, never.
The number of people that are out there pretending to be helpful that will say, just send me your recovery phrase and I'll restore it for you. Oh, it's terrible. Sure. Of course, yeah. It's really, really sad to see people who have lost money like that. And that happens. And it's heartbreaking. And I hate seeing that happen to people. So no matter what, keep that to yourself. Keep it somewhere safe, keep it somewhere secure, and don't ever give it to anybody else. That would be my best advice. And sleep on it. You don't have to worry if you buy a little bit less tomorrow because the price has gone up overnight, but you slept on it. That's still probably a really good idea. You'll be all the more convicted of your investment and hopefully willing to weather any storms or price fluctuations, or like it happens.
Thank you so much, Josiah. Those are great advices. Like, you guys should hear that, definitely. So that's pretty much it for what we are discussing today. And
thank you so much for having me on your channel here. Thank you for interviewing me, and thank you for talking about and for supporting DigiByte. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. This is the best we can do here, and you guys can check DigiByte out on Swapzone, of course. If you ever need to compare exchange services to swaps, pretty easily, I would say, and it's pretty convenient, database with the rates and with everything. So check it out. We're going to put all the links in the description below, of course. And do you have some channels worth checking out? Probably you'd mention them as well for everybody.
Yeah. So if you're interested in following along, you can go to digibyteandfriends.com. That'll direct you through to my channel. I do both a podcast. I do daily updates on DigiByte, what's going on, latest news, like to keep people informed, educated, and up to date with all the exciting stuff that's going on. So check it out, digibyteandfriends.com, or you can find out more at digibyte.io and dgbwiki.com for guides and how-tos and helpful information.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Thanks very much.